Hey guys, good afternoon to you. Val Smyth here with John Soriano. We're going to basically jam it out here. These are impulsive calls. We didn't even make an announcement for this. But, John, before we get into the main core of what it is we're going to talk about, I'm going to let you do most of the talking today. As a matter of fact, I'm going to kind of sit back and relax because normally I dominate a lot of the calls. But before we get into all that good stuff, I just want to share something with you like right now. Right here in my hand. Can you see that?
Yeah.
I've got a glass of orange juice, man. And, the best part about the orange juice, and you live in are you down in Florida?
Yeah.
You're in Florida. You must know what orange juice is. Well, hey, listen, the best part of the orange the best part of the orange juice. Watch this. I'm doing a TV commercial for Tang, Minute Maid. The best part of the orange juice is the pulp.
Yeah. See, now I grew up with Tang.
Dude, I think we all grew up with Alien Tang. That stuff, those TV commercials. I used to run out of my bed just to watch the commercials to see those aliens. But God, the best part of the orange juice is the pulp. Dude, I can't
Yeah.
even begin to tell you how much I love pulp. But anyhow, I get sidetracked with things. You know what, John? Hey, listen, we had a great jam session last time. We were on
Yeah.
doing a live. We did, and the only problem when we do lives, the only problem when we get together is that there's never enough time. There never seems to be enough time for anything. There really isn't. And we rocked it out there, I think, for maybe 40 odd minutes. I'm eating a banana too. For about 40 odd
Yeah.
minutes or so, we talked a little bit about,
I'm
behavior.
getting
We
hungry
talked
here,
about,
but that's okay.
yeah, we talked about modification of behavior, behavior, really, hey, behavior, eating a banana on a call. But we talked about behavior. We talked about identity. We talked about the five points that one must cover in order to change the identity of an individual in order to create the belief
Yep.
system
Mhm.
to find the desired end result, which really doesn't apply to goal setting in the world that I live in. But we didn't really talk about references. And,
Mhm.
I saw one live that you did a few weeks back. You were talking about, switching references and things like that, almost like going into the mind and then deleting files. Really, it was almost like
Right.
doing a colon cleanse or cleaning up your room or cleaning up your living room here.
That's,
Got to go
that's
and do
one
it.
way to look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, man, you got to clean up. You got to clean up the space, right? Like, I always say to my kids, clean up your room. And we did a major cleanup in the loft upstairs. And, Benita spent 3 hours helping Ethan clean up his room and cleaned it up really nice. And he's got his trophies and his toys and all these things there. And now his attitude is, well, gee, Mom, thanks for making space in my bedroom. Now I can put in more. So it's more clutter into Ethan's room there. So we can show people a little bit about talk a little bit about references and show them how to make space in their lives for
Mhm.
other things by deleting some old belief systems along the way that actually create terrible habits in people's lives in some cases. So, Don, why don't you share a little bit about that? Now, we're going to talk about persistence today, and we're going to talk about
Okay.
references. I'll
Yeah.
pass the torch over to you. I'm going to sit back and relax and eat a banana.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks, brother.
I do that. I'm just
Love
thinking
you
of
for it.
a tagline that came to me now as you were talking about the colon cleanse. I'm like, we could kind of frame this as an emotional enema, right? So-
Yeah, truly, that's what it is, though, right?
it is,
Yeah,
right.
it is.
So references.
Everyone's got to go through an
Yeah,
enema. Through an
yeah,
enema.
exactly. All right. So references are very important when you're looking at, in particular, um, beliefs, thought patterns, things of that nature. Because what happens is the metaphor that I came in contact with is one that Gary Craig uses, and I've seen it other places as well, but he was the first one that I've really seen it with. So let's say we're talking about a belief in particular. Let's say the belief is this is too difficult, right?
Sure.
Other people could grow an MLM business, but not me. It's too hard for me, right? So there's your tabletop, right? So the tabletop is the belief itself, right? But something has to hold the tabletop up, right? So what holds the tabletop up is legs. Now, in this metaphor, though, the legs stand for the references, right? So if you have a tabletop with one leg, for example, it's not going to be very stable. I can knock that over pretty quick, right?
Absolutely.
Now, if you have four legs, you're a lot more stable. If I have eight legs under it, it's going to be solid, real solid, right? Or sometimes references could actually congeal and become like this one solid pedestal to keep that tabletop up, okay? So, but the theory here is this. If I have a reference, like going back to the example, this is too hard for me. It doesn't
Right.
just come out of the ether somewhere. Oh, the little poochie. I should show my cat. I have my cat right there. Yeah,
Oh, look at that. We're animal lovers. We got
yeah, we
plenty in common.
kind of have Noah's Ark going on here.
Yeah, love
So
attraction. There you go.
yeah, that's right. So that kind of belief doesn't come out of the ether. It has to come from somewhere, and where it comes from is your references. So let's say you tried something in the past, it didn't work out. Then you tried something else that didn't work out, and you got that 4 times. Now you got 4 table legs. You have 4
Right.
references, right? So the key to shaking a belief, and I think I mentioned it in our live. I know I did in mine. I think I did in ours too. The key to shake a belief primarily is to create doubt in it. That'll shake the belief, okay? But if you want to do it more quickly and more elegantly, you can use certain tools like EFT, for example, emotional freedom techniques, and you could target those references specifically and collapse them. So once you do that, yeah.
So that's what a lawyer does. So basically, right? So a lawyer's in a courtroom and he's basically defending a client, and what he's basically doing is helping the jury or the judge develop doubt in a particular belief system that was presented before them originally going into a case. Could be
Right.
a speeding case.
Well, yeah. So, for example, the witness's testimony would be the reference.
Right.
So what the defense attorney would do is go and collapse the reference and take his testimony and completely prejudice the testimony, right? But in this case, let's say the example here, because EFT is a tool that it works best when you can be as specific as possible. So let's say my belief is this is too hard for me. One of your references is, well, I tried one of these businesses 20 years ago and I lost $2,000, right? So let's say, so if you were working with me as your coach, for example, I would say, okay, well, on a 0 to 10, how intense is that for you to think about? Oh man, it's a 10. I'll never do this kind of stuff again. All right. So we'd go through the process, and the process will start chopping that down to the point where it's like a 0, 1, or 2 in intensity. So what happens, once I take the negative emotional charge out of that reference, in essence, I've collapsed it. So now that's 1 table leg I chopped out. So I have 3 more to go, let's say at least. So I do it with another 1, another 2. Eventually, do I really have to knock out all 4 to knock a table over? No. I could knock 2 on the same side and I can knock it over, right? In EFT, for example, that concept is called generalization. If I hit core references and I hit enough of them, I don't have to hit them all, but I could hit enough of them and I could collapse the whole table. And then boom, the whole thing falls. So all of a sudden you had this belief, oh, this is too hard for me, right? Now remember, we talked about beliefs being tied to values, right? They were on the same level in that neurological ladder, right? So the values, the hierarchy of the values will also dictate what's going to happen in terms of your performance. Now, one of the things I was going to slide into was persistence, and this kind of really goes right into that. So here's what happens. Okay, I see a presentation. Like, this opportunity is the best thing since sliced bread. Like on the 8th day, God created this opportunity, right? And I want to do it. Everybody wants to do it. And then they'll go out and they'll talk to friends and family, whatever the system tells them to do. And they'll get their 1, 2, 3, 4 no's in a row, right? So what is the difference that makes the difference, right? Now, of course, you say, well, okay, the guy who's successful doesn't care that he hears no. He doesn't. That's true. But why? Why does he care and the other one? Why doesn't he care and the other one does? You see, I'm always about going deeper. Like, what? Okay, I get there's a disparity between one that hears it really and one that doesn't care. I get that. But let's go drive deeper. Why doesn't he? Because obviously the one who can hear 15,000 no's in a row and keep calling has different references, right?
Right.
His references don't tie in the same way as the person who gets like a couple of no's and says, I can't do this. Because why? It reinforced one of my references that I don't have what it takes. I knew I wasn't good at this. See, I told you I wasn't good at this. Because we get to a point where we almost want to prove to ourselves we're right. Okay, I'm going to call. I don't get 10 no's, and I'll prove to you I'm no good at this. I mean, it's a crazy game we play, but we do it. So if anybody who's listening to this right now is in that situation where they have a really genuine opportunity in front of them and they really want to do it, but they've gotten like 5, 10 no's in a row already, and all of a sudden they're like, I don't know if this is for me. This might be too hard for me. I'm not the kind of. If you're getting that self-talk, I'm going to challenge you right now to really look at what is the belief that's driving that, right? Oh, I'm no good at this. This is too hard for me, whatever it might be. And then I'm going to challenge you to dig a little bit deeper and say, okay, well, where have you first thought like that in relation to something you were trying to accomplish? It doesn't, a lot of times the references aren't necessarily in the field that you're working at, but it doesn't matter. It's close enough for your consciousness to say, yes, it's close enough, it's the same thing. I'm going to shut us down anyway. Because remember, aside from that whole neurological ladder thing that we covered, there's really only two primary drivers, right? You're either moving away from pain or you're moving towards pleasure, right? That's the overall drivers. So if you're getting yourself all bent out of shape based on your references and your beliefs, and you're driving this to become painful, you're going to kick back and run the other way. That's just how your system is wired. So if you're going to collapse these references, you have to do so in a way that then allows you to move towards something. Okay? And that's an easy nutshell way to explain it. Now, of course, there's even subtleties there that I don't want to confuse people with, but
give an example, John. Give an example of switching a reference at an emotional level.
Well, you would take it, let's say, how you would approach it would depend what tool you're going to use. If I can't get, for example, if I was working with you and you had this issue and you had it, and we talked and we uncovered a couple of references that were getting in the way, things that went wrong in the past, right? If I could really get you down to a specific event, then I'll use EFT for that, right? Because that's its wheelhouse. If I could take it, I could tap on meridian points if people don't know what that is. And I could collapse it that way. All right. Because I don't need to build a new one necessarily yet. I need to collapse enough of them to collapse the old belief first. Then we could always choose, okay, well, what belief do you want? Right? It's, oh, okay, I want to believe that I can do this. Okay. So then I could just start placing references right under it. Well, what have you done successfully in the past? Before you had to have done something. I mean, no one's not much of a loser, right? So you have to have done something. Yeah, okay, well, what about that? And you could start expanding that out. And all of a sudden, you could create a reference out of that would support the new belief. Okay? This may sound oversimplistic, but it is that easy, right? The brain is wired to change instantly, right? So I can do that. Now, if it's not that specific, then I might have to play with how you're creating this, right? That would be more of a neurolinguistics approach. Okay, I want to know how you're creating this with your inner processes, and I would just flesh that out. Okay, like I could change how something means to you just by merely changing how it's structured. So, for example, think of something that mildly makes you uneasy. Nothing earth-shattering, but it gets you a little uneasy when you think about it.
Are you asking me the question?
Yeah. Think of something.
Do you want me to tell you what it is?
Don't even know.
Okay, I've got it.
Got it? Okay. So I want you to go in your head a second and really look at that and tell me, is it in color or black and white?
Black and white.
Okay. Is it a large picture or a small picture?
Small picture.
Okay. Are you seeing yourself in the picture or do you see it in
Yeah.
real
Oh yeah, I'm
time?
in the picture. Yeah, for sure, I'm in the picture.
But you can see yourself in the picture.
I can see myself in the picture.
Okay. Do you hear anything?
There's two things I heard. It switched. Yeah, I heard
Okay.
two things. I actually,
Okay.
you want me to
Now,
tell you what I heard?
were they close
Okay.
or far away that you heard it?
When I first went into the picture, it was far away, and then after it was right there. It was right on top of me.
Okay. And the things you heard, did you hear them close or did you hear it in the distance?
Distance at first, and then a whole different sound took over within seconds. Close.
Okay. And so initially, when you first thought of it, was it kind of a gradual increase in the intensity for you? Or was
No,
it just
it
instant
was
the whole
quite
way?
heavy and hard.
Okay. So now thinking of the same thing, imagine that picture shrinking to the point where it's in the palm of your hand. Okay. All the
Yeah.
sound, all the colors, all the everything that was in there. Shrink it to a dot in the palm of your hand. And imagine throwing that way behind you.
Almost threw it, and almost threw my
Yeah,
computer at the
also
same time
don't
too.
throw the computer, just throw the thing in your imagination.
Yeah. No, I started laughing. I'll tell you, just if I may, when I put it in my hand and I shrunk that down,
Hmm.
I started laughing because it took a totally different. The picture, it became totally different.
Totally different, right? So what that was me exploring how you're processing the input that was in your mind, right? And I could get in there and help you manipulate it every which way to get rid of it that way if you don't know a specific event. Because sometimes if we're talking about beliefs or thought patterns, there's so many references that can geo. Remember I said that you could almost get into a pillar or a post that supports the table
Yeah.
instead of just legs. So when that happens, you kind of got to get in there with like neurolinguistics and flesh it out. Or you could always use hypnosis too. I could put somebody under and just talk to their subconscious mind and just completely flip all that around, right? So a lot of it is just case by case, and it depends what exactly we're working on. But for something like I don't have the persistence, I quit like this, right? A lot of people get frustrated with that. And in an MLM industry, network marketing industry, it's epidemic, right? You have 90 some odd percent failure rates because primarily, and let's take the bad opportunities out of the equation, the fly by night stuff, like, hey, you're going to make $10,000 in an
Sure.
hour. And, let's
Yeah, yeah.
assume that we're talking about quality opportunities here, right? Why is the failure rate so high? Because the majority of people can't control that part of their mind. They run on automatic. Their beliefs run on automatic. And remember, when we talked about the neurological levels last time, right? It's identity that influences beliefs, that influences capability, which influences behavior, right? So the behavior part is down here, but that's what's getting affected by the behavior, by the belief part up here. So as long as you have those references in place and you have a solid belief that this is too hard for me, your behavior is going to be as such that you're not going to be persistent. You're not going to push it. You're not going to be all in. You're going to kick out pretty quickly because that's the references that you have to support you. So the
You're
key
gonna get
thing,
in sync. You're gonna get in sync with that belief system, and your behavior will be
yeah,
totally in sync with that belief system, and
exactly.
you'll act out that way accordingly,
That's it,
sabotaging,
exactly.
creating.
That's right. So where does the self sabotage come from? It's your beliefs that do it, right? It's not a behavioral thing. It's a belief and identity thing. right? So the more you take a notebook, you take a legal pad, right? Go find the Dunkin' Donut someplace. That's what I do to think straight. And no donuts though, just coffee, right? And you can start sketching it out. Okay, I think this is my belief. What could be supporting this? And you start writing it out. And then you can start attacking reference by reference, right? Now, depending how ingrained this stuff is, of course, you could do it on your own. You could try and do it on your own, or if you want more rapid results, done more elegant, you work with somebody to do it. Even coaches have coaches. If I even do my own self work, and I think it's a little too intense for me personally, I'll go to a
Sure.
coach. I did it last week, as a matter of fact, to get over a hump for something that I was trying to accomplish. Sometimes the person from the outside looking in has a different perspective than you. And she gave me these 3 insights right off the bat. And I was like, oh, yeah, how could I miss that, right? Because sometimes you're the one that's in it so deep you can't see clearly. So I always recommend somebody, if you're trying it, it really can't work out, to work with somebody. But we keep throwing this phrase, keys to the kingdom, but this really is it. Right? These are the things that if you make those adjustments, your behaviors, your persistence, which is a behavior, will adjust automatically. Right? So you can get the mindset of that guy who's the top producer in your company. He's no different than you. He puts on his pants one leg at a time. What's the difference? The difference is his mindset, pure and simple. That's the only difference. Okay, yeah, there's some
The amazing,
but
the
that's really
amazing
the main
thing,
difference.
the amazing thing is so many people want to avoid mindset. And when you do hear people talk about mindset, they talk about it, not all, but the majority of the stuff out there on Facebook, it's all superficial mindset. There's no therapy in it at all. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really amazing because we didn't even talk about your credentials, teaching NLP, being a hypnotherapist,
Mm-hmm.
and, we never even talked. People probably just think you're a layperson and you're having fun, but they don't know that you can put them under hypnosis. But it's really amazing how we deal with externals in this industry and avoid the internals. And when people do talk about the internals, they do it on such a superficial level. It's like amateur therapists trying to play the role of a therapist. They don't even know what they're talking about half the time. In
Well, I mean, a
mindset.
lot of it is the positive thinking portion of it, right? Which in and of itself is good stuff. But one good quote I
Nice. It's
remember from
entertaining.
Tony. Well, it is, but I remember it was one good quote from Tony Robbins was the problem with positive thinking is you have to think about it, right? But actually, to touch real quick, I guess if you want to put people's mind at ease, I am a certified life coach. I am a certified master NLP practitioner. I am a certified hypnotist and an EFT expert. So, and I've been doing all this stuff for a long time. So it's not me. It's just, oh, this sounds like it might work. It works because I've done it on hundreds of people, and I do it on myself on a very regular basis. Because if you don't walk the talk, it's like me. If I was 300 pounds, you're not going to come to me as a health coach, right? It's just like, you know what? I think I should lose some weight. As I'm pounding down that pizza, right? It's just like,
Yeah,
really?
don't get me started on that, man. Don't get me started on that. I just, it's funny. It's funny. I'm starting on it now. Anyhow, it's funny because this guy sends me to his. I gotta tell you this, man. This is
Go
just
for it, man. Go
this
for
is
it.
a big crock of crap. Oh, anyhow, so a guy sends me to his website. I'm taking you back about 6-7 years ago. A guy sends me to his website, health and nutritional company in the multi-level marketing industry. Company's probably good and everything. And they show like all their their diamonds and their rubies or whatever, their platinum players and their top money earners and stuff like that. And I didn't know whether to go to the bathroom or go blind, honestly. when I'm there, the one person speaking on stage, the top money earner in the video on the website probably weighed 380, 390 pounds, looked like crap in a tuxedo. And I'm probably a beautiful human being, but man, don't go on stage at 380 pounds in a tuxedo looking like it's going to burst off you. Your buttons are going to pop, like your nostrils are going to blow out of your head, and start talking about health and nutrition. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody's been in a company and they're the top money earner, it probably means they've been there for more than a week. It probably means they've been there more than a month. You know, if you're the top money earner, probably been there for several years, right? But you know what? Don't go on there. Don't go on there looking like hungry hippo, man. When you're, and start teaching people about health and nutrition. Now, I get it if people join the program, they're overweight, they're like that. But you know what? If you're the top money earner, you want to show results. And I think that guy was on a weight gain program, not a weight loss program, anyhow. So I just found some things to be very contradictory. I just have a hard time with that. Anyhow, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but
Well, yeah. Well, no, it's very true because even with coaches, there's a lot. I have a lot of colleagues, and some I would go to myself. I do refer out, because some of them have certain specializations that I won't work in, but they do. So I have no problem referring out to somebody if I think they're the better fit for the person, right? But there are a lot of people also on the other side, even in the EFT field or the hypnosis field and stuff like, if I ask a fellow hypnotist, when was the last time you put yourself under? If you can't remember,
yes, yeah,
then you're not a hypnotist because you need to be practicing your own tools on a daily basis. I do tapping on a daily basis, hypnosis at least every other day because it does take some time and sometimes I don't have it, but at least every other day. Neurolinguistics is constant because I'm constantly working with students and I'm constantly getting in there. I could get in their head, figure out what's going on, help them flip it, and send them back to class within 30 minutes. You get real good when you have that kind of time constraint on you. So, you have to, when you're looking at, it's like you say, when you're looking at getting help from people or whether you're looking at an MLM or something like that. And I remember in high school.
1 sec.
Yep. I'll keep talking while you're there. I remember in high school, my gym teacher was fairly overweight. And he said, well, okay, guys. Actually, it was more, all right, ladies. You guys need to get in shape, so go take a mile around the track. And my response to him was, after you, fat ass, right? So, of course, that got me the detention. But, it's like, how are you going to tell me to get in shape? And you're like, you could tell time by your stomach. I mean, it's like, it's not going to work out, So, but anyway, we digress, right? But the problem line again, so if you're looking to get yourself to that position, sometimes we look at people, oh my God, I wish I had that persistence. I wish I was like Colonel Sanders who lived in his car. He started when he retired. For people who don't know the story of Colonel Sanders Kentucky Fried Chicken, right? He got his first Social Security check and said, I ain't going to live like this. I have a great chicken recipe, fried chicken recipe. I'm going to go to restaurants and I'm going to sell them the recipe and they're going to give me a percentage of the profits that they get from the chicken. He thought it was a great idea. Nobody else did until his 800th or something person. I'll give it a shot. Who would have persistence like that? Okay, not many. Why? Yeah. Because the minute they start hitting this, they collapse, and they collapse because their references say so. Okay, where did Colonel Sanders dig deep from? He had to have had powerful references that supported powerful beliefs that allowed him to behave in that manner, which was persistence, right? Thomas Edison, same thing, right? Albert Einstein, same thing, right? So again,
well, any great inventor, any great innovator, any great creator, they've always hit those blocks, but they always found a way to break the barriers. And right. And one of the things, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but one of the things that I taught my students back in Mentors in Motion is that when somebody says to me, well, hey, John, I've got more experience than you, or hey, Val, I've got more experience than you, I just turn around and say this. I say, dude, you know what? You probably have more experience than me, but I'll tell you something about experience. The only thing experience teaches is limitations. Mm-hmm. Don't bring your limitations into my life. I'll bury you.
Mm-hmm.
Just like that. Boom. Sorry, anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I was thinking about something the other day. Speaking of limitations, right? People have limitations, whatever, right? And let's say it's not a physical limitation, right? Because there are physical limitations. There is no way I am ever going to play in the NBA, right? It's a physical limitation. It's not going to happen, right? I can't jump. I have no knees, so it's not going to work out, right? I get it. But taking that aside, what really is a limitation after you take the physical one out? If we're talking about mind, mind is an ethereal entity. It's not a physical entity. So that means in and of itself, mind really can't have a limitation. It's not possible theoretically or philosophically. It could only be whatever restraints you decide to put in play. And whatever those restraints are that you put in play are based on what you think you've learned from past references. And that's going to dictate how you're going to perform. It's a very easy, it's almost algebraic. Ooh, sounds like math. But it really is that much of a scientific sequence. So really, I encourage everybody listening here right now, grab a pad, grab a notebook, grab something no later than tomorrow, act on things quickly, right? Strike while the iron's hot. And really sit down and start exploring your beliefs towards your business if it's not going the way you want it to go, or whatever else you want to work on that's not getting where you want to go. And start really exploring, listing down what your beliefs are, and then what do you think is supporting that belief. And you're going to see as you start writing, I can't think of anything. Okay, I'm going to give you a useful reframe for free right now. Here we go. Ready? I can't think of anything. Well, if you could, what might it be? Okay, so use that trick on yourself. I can't think of anything. Well, if you could, what could it be? What might it be? Oh, it could be this. That's called a possibility frame. Right? So I could take someone who's deadlocked and use that frame, and all of a sudden, oh, well, I guess it could be because people are so afraid to be wrong on stuff that they do that to themselves. But start listing that stuff out. Start really looking at what's going on in your head that's keeping you from performing and being persistent the way you want to and the way you need to get the results you're looking for. I don't know if he's still there. John. He froze. Oh, there you go. Okay, he's there. So I don't know if is there anybody coming up with questions while we're talking, or do I have to keep going?
I think we got a few people on there. We didn't announce you were doing a call. We got a few people on there that are really intrigued by this.
Okay.
They get excited. You're a pretty sophisticated guy. The one thing that happens when Tracy and I with people like yourself, it's different for people because people aren't used to this type of stuff. Like this is kind of sophisticated. A lot of people like to get on lives and crank it out, get excited, and do hypey stuff. But this stuff's really cool. This is the deep inner core stuff.
Yeah. Well, this what gets me jazzed because I know that this is the stuff that'll get the people the results. See, I'm about the results, and being from Brooklyn, New York, I'm about getting them yesterday. So every tool I ever take on is only because I think it could refine the process that much faster. Because I'm all about why are you going to go through suffering for no reason? It's a bad model that's out there today. Like, okay, well, I'll go talk with somebody for years, and I'll bet, no, man, why? Why would you do that? That's kind of like saying, well, I stuck my hand in a fire once and it got burned. So if I keep putting it in the fire and keep getting burned, I might figure out why. Why the hell would you do that? No, just start mapping stuff out, man, and just start figuring out, okay, this is where I'm at. This is where I want to be. Look at your identity and belief stuff and say, okay, what needs to be adjusted? And I'm more than happy to do a consultation with anybody that wants to, free of charge, and we can see if there's something I can help you out with. We could set something up after the consult then, if that's the case. The consult's free of charge, actually, the work wouldn't be, but sometimes you just really need to work with somebody. So,
where there's a need for this stuff? we briefly talked about it, but you know what? A lot of the training components in the back office are technical.
Hey, Brian.
Very few people address the self. And so for you to create a video series on therapy, Honestly, you know what? So many people here, the home-based business industry, and I'll call it like it is, can be very fake. It can be very superficial. It can be very, cotton candy like. And, like I said earlier, a lot of you've got a lot of amateurs on the internet running around talking about mindset and, they treat it with goal setting or visualization, put a picture up on the wall
The
and
same
stare at a
old, same old.
Lamborghini.
Yep.
And it's the same old garbage, and set
Yep.
your goals, and that'll show you if you write down these goals and replace them with those goals, it'll change your life. And you get all the bullshit of people saying, "Oh man, I just joined this business opportunity and it changed my life, and it changed my life, and my life's changed." And then they're off doing another thing, and their life's changed there. I mean, we got to, well, this industry is full of mentally unhealthy people, and so and a lot of mentally unhealthy therapists out there giving bad advice. And so it would be really good to have a really cool, real therapeutic value, mind altering training course, because the big question out there on the internet and home-based businesses, yeah, I know there's something wrong with my thinking. Yeah, I know I would love to get out there in the home-based business industry. I would love to succeed. It's my dream ultimately inside, but there's so many balls and chains holding people down. They join this, they're all excited, ready to go, and they never really go. They never launch. I mean,
It never launched.
it becomes a very simple exercise in joining a business. Anybody can join a business, but not everyone will build it. So the whole point being is, the thing that people ask me at times when I'm kind of in that vibration where I start teaching captain and crew, they say, "Val, look, I'm tired of everything." This is an honest person. An honest person, a dishonest person will say this. An honest person will say, "Look, I'm not happy with my performance." This is an honest person. "I'm not happy with the way I think. I know this company has incredible potential. I know I can make money. I'm not willing to blame my upline. I'm not willing to blame their upline. I'm not willing to blame the comp plan, the product, or the company. I'm willing to take on full responsibility." That's a real person. Anyone else that's sitting there talking about blaming the comp plan, the company, they're full of shit. They're lying, conniving, blah, blah, blahs. I don't buy into that, because other people are making money. So the truth is, we got to stop. We got to take a deep breath, and you got to put you just got to put yourself in order and say, you know what? It's the I am that needs help. And so if we created an I am course to help people discover the I am, who they are, what they're all about, what they're truly capable of doing, and how to eliminate these references. Sometimes your hard drive, sometimes the hard drive on your computer, you can still keep it. You just got to get out the virus. That's all. It doesn't mean you have to trash it. You don't have to beat it up. You don't have to smash it. You don't have to throw it out. You don't have to stop and get rid of it and say it was bad. You just have to work on the issue that is stuck in the hard drive, and we remove that reference in the hard drive that's causing it to act up, and let it perform accordingly. And I believe that every human being on this planet was born rich. I think it was our divine birthright to excel. It's just that it got taken away from us when we came to Schoolhouse Earth. Different, components: adults, church, school, education, parents, friends, environment, where you were raised. All those things totally screwed us up.
Exactly
and
right.
son, daughter, go to school, get a great education, and be somebody so-and-so for the rest of your life. But that might not be your calling in life. I discovered that. I found myself in my late 20s, 30s. Thank God for that,
Right.
So I didn't have to work this up when I'm 50 or 60. And sorry, go ahead. I get really fired up.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. You're dead on. And actually, that's one of the packages that I do now with individuals. Video series is a great idea too. Maybe you and I need to talk some more about that. We might be cooking up something, folks. Stay tuned. We are cooking up something. But because the thing you gave was a perfect example. Okay, well, if this comp plan is no good, remember what I spoke about again? I'll go right back to that framework, because it's just so elegant in its execution. Where's the environment level? It's at the bottom, right? It influences nothing. So if I jump from company to company, comp plan to comp plan, all I'm doing is changing environments. That's not going to do anything, because the behavior level is above that, not below it. So I could change comp plans 9 ways to Sunday. My behavior is not going to be influenced one iota, at least not long term. Yeah, because you take you with you into any environment. My old catchphrase. Remember, wherever you go, there you are. Right?
Yeah.
That's just it, man. Yeah, but that's my soapbox for the night. That's for sure.
Well, good. Yeah, I think we had I think we had a great jam session tonight. Thank you so much for sharing that. There's so much more we can talk about. I don't want to keep this going for an hour. I thought we'd be finished in 6 or 7 minutes, but I think it was a little bit
Oh
longer than
yeah,
that. So.
no. Once I get going, I get going. But yeah, 0 dark 30 is going to come up for me early tomorrow. So.
I hear you, man. Okay. Well, listen, thank you so much for popping on. We didn't
Oh, my
announce it. We
pleasure.
just show up. We're a couple transients on Facebook that have nothing better to do. We just take our backpack. We walk from town to town and we preach whatever we
That's
preach. We don't
right.
know what the hell we're talking about. We don't know who we're talking to. We just talk to ourselves.
That,
We got some issues and we get them out. So I
that's
appreciate that, John. It's been awesome, man. And
my pleasure,
we will
man.
talk about creating a therapeutic video mindset training system for people as well too, because Tracy and I have some really cool things that we're doing. And one of the things I love about the programs we do is that we have an exclusive on our products where other digital companies don't in a lot of cases. So it'll be fun, John. It'll be fun working with you on a couple
I'm
projects here.
wide open
So listen,
for it.
guys, if anyone happens to see this, yeah, thanks, man. If anyone happens to see this crazy video, I hope you enjoy it and get something out of it. Sometimes they're deep, sometimes they're they go over some people's heads, and sometimes some people get it. It's all good stuff. So listen, love you all in spirit. Have a great afternoon. And I guess I got to put my glasses on so I can see what the heck I'm doing. I don't even know how to turn this off. Tracy, can you turn this off for me? I don't know how to do it. I just had to say that because she's on there. Okay, guys. Okay, guys, have a good one. Cheers.
Have a good night.
Thanks, John.